Hi guys! So the other week I did a 15-minute outfit challenge.
Oh god, I'm panicking. Please. Ow. We'll have to wing the sleeve. Yep. That sure is what a sleeve looks like.
Yeah, that was pretty fun. But obviously the outfit didn't turn out looking the greatest. So this week I've decided to go sort of to the other extreme. I'm going to do a 15-hour challenge. That's right, I'm going to be working on one outfit for 15 whole hours. When coming up with an outfit, I knew I needed something that would be pretty complicated, something that would take a number of hours to create, so of course I turned to Lolita fashions. There's always a ton of frills, layers, and details on Lolita, so there was a lot to pull inspiration from. I saw a lot of things that I liked, but eventually settled on this one picture. When you're going for complicated and elaborate outfits, there really is nowhere to turn but to anime. I found this picture floating around on Pinterest, and it's a little bit of a mystery as to who made it. The artist's name, I think, is Okano, but when I searched them out on DeviantArt, their account was deactivated, so I tried doing a Google image search, but this picture has been spread around so much already that the origin is a little difficult to place. I'm not going to be copying this dress exactly, mostly because I'm not sure how to do that on such a small scale, and also I'm not actually that great at making doll clothes in the first place, but we'll be using this for some heavy inspiration. First, I wanted to get the colors down. I pretty frequently dye my own fabrics since I'm very picky about colors, and sometimes I just can't seem to find what it is I'm looking for. In this case, we need a very desaturated pastel red that is definitely more red and not pink. So I mixed up a huge pot of dye using a ton of water and just a teensy bit of red dye and a little tan dye to desaturate it even more. If you just mix a bunch of water with red, you'll end up with pink, so the tan really helps to get that dusty sort of tone that I'm really after. I usually test the color out on strips of paper towel, and I've got my phone close by to double check the color. I dye a length of embroidery thread, mixing it around and pulling it out pretty frequently to check the color. When you're dyeing cloth, don't forget to wet down the fabric first. It helps to create an even dye with no color splotches. This fabric is 100% cotton, so I got the cheaper powdered RIT dye, but for anything with polyester, you should get RIT dye more, and that does work on cotton as well. Now let's tackle that pastel blue. I'm not sure why this color was so difficult to find at my local Joann Fabrics. It seems like most of the fabric is very saturated or has some sort of pattern. Off camera, I cut out all my pattern pieces, and there were a lot of them. I usually do much plainer outfits, so this felt like a lot of pattern pieces. Let's start with the panels. My first instinct had been to sew in a strip of white into the sleeves, but that would have been difficult and also sort of pointless when all I want is the color. Let's just glue a strip of white down on top of the sleeve where the white should be. Turn in the edges so nothing frays, and I usually keep that down with a hair straightener because I'm too lazy to go grab my iron. Because this took so long, the lighting in my kitchen is literally all over the place, and when I tried to color correct everything, I just ended up looking a little crazy. I also didn't have the camera placed in the best angle to show you exactly what I'm doing, so I'm really sorry for that. In order to combat this, I've made a very poorly drawn tutorial to go up in the upper left-hand corner. I hope that helps. With the sleeve panel glued down, let's move on to the neck panel. On the reference picture, there's a little frill of ruffles around her neck, but I think that will be too bulky on a Monster High girl, so I opted for a scalloped bit of ribbon instead. I simply glue that down on top of the bodice piece. Next, cut out a big U shape and cut some notches in the bottom to help it fold under more cleanly. Fold that under, give it a quick iron, and glue it all down. Next, make about 3,000 feet of ruffles. Cool, it's been about 5 hours now. Time to sew. Using the machine, I sewed the white ruffle to the sleeve. Attach your backs at the shoulder. This was about the point that I realized my sewing machine had been broken since before I'd started making doll clothes. My mom was nice enough to fix it for me, thank you Mom, but I'm super out of practice. Since I'm so shaky with it, I actually decided to sew on the sleeves by hand. Let's try closing up the bodice on the machine, that shouldn't be too hard. Next, attach the ruffle to the circle skirt. If you hand sew outfits, it's easier to get your stitches super close to the edge of fabric, and since I just eyeballed all my ruffles, I didn't make them long enough, so I wasn't giving myself enough seam allowance for the machine. All that's left now is to sew the skirt to the bodice. I attached this a little low. For the silhouette in the picture, I should have attached the skirt more at the natural waist than at the hips, but it's still really cute and mostly covered by the apron. Speaking of, I'm being lazy here and gluing the seams of my apron strings down. I tried running a seam up one side and turning them inside out, but they just refused to be turned, and I was starting to lose my mind at this point. I think I was about 7 or 8 hours in by now. The dress is what took me the longest time, so if you were to make this outfit, I'd suggest making the dress on one day and the other bits on the next, instead of trying to make the whole thing in one sitting like I did. Attach a rectangle to a half-circle skirt. This is the easiest part of the outfit. Rejoice in this knowledge. Here I'm messing around with the straps, wondering if I could make them cross in the back. And I think that might be cute, but I couldn't figure out how to do it, so I just attached them normally. Attach the straps to the rectangle on one side and to the edge of the skirt on the back. You could use a ribbon for this instead of fabric straps, but I find that most ribbon has a satin finish, and I wanted it to match the matte cotton. Keep a doll nearby to try the outfit on frequently. You don't want to make something too small for your doll to wear. Lastly, for this apron, attach a line of lace around the hem. Cute! Just gotta iron it down. Underneath the skirt, I used that desaturated red fabric to make a pair of bloomers. They're not in the original picture, but I wanted to keep something to cover her up under that wide, poofy skirt, and also something to help the skirt stay rounded. I'm not going to go into detail on this since I sort of messed them up. The bloomers alone took me about 3 hours, just because I was going back and forth trying to fix them and figure out how to make an elastic leg. I eventually got them to look good, but my process isn't streamlined at all, so maybe there'll be a video for that in the future. Lastly are the details. One of the things that really drew me to this outfit were the pops of red on the apron and sleeves. So let's pull out a large embroidery needle and start putting them on. In retrospect, I should have put these little crosses on the sleeves before I sewed them shut, but I didn't think of that at the time, so here I am trying to sew through the armhole. It works, sort of. It's just not easy. This needle could also do with a little sharpening. Putting the row of stitches on the apron is much easier. At the end of the apron, tie a little bow. In the end, I think this outfit came out looking really cute. Despite all the issues that I had with it, I think its pattern really has potential. I would approach it a little differently, add some more seam allowance, make my ruffles longer, stuff like that. I think it came out really soft and sweet looking. Maybe once I get the pattern working, I could put it up on Etsy for a few dollars. What do you think? Leave a comment below. It's really interesting to see the difference of what you can make given more time. I know that this outfit took much longer than it should have, mostly because it's a new pattern that I made up, so there were issues and mistakes to fix and no instructions to follow. So probably if I made it again, I could pare that time down, but for the first go, that's how long it took me. If you'd like to buy this outfit, it's up for sale on my Etsy, along with a bunch of my other dolls. The link is in the description box below. If you like this outfit, don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe for more doll stuff. I put out a new video every other Thursday. You can follow me on Instagram for more behind the scenes stuff and sneak peeks. Thank you so much for watching, and bye for now!